Welcome back, folks, to our guest artist series. This week we have Scott Richardson, the Shakespeare in Delaware Park Technical Director, joining us today. Scott has been with Shakespeare in Delaware Park for over 20 years, so we can't wait to get this perspective on the technical side of bringing Shakespeare in Delaware Park to life every summer. Let's just start by going through the process of what it takes to build the actual stage. Time frame wise, what goes into it, your interactions with the designer and the director, all of that.
The first production meeting that we generally have is sometime in March, sometime around where the auditions are. So we get the general look of what the scenery is supposed to be. I do tend to have some say into the practicality of certain things. Things have to be weatherproofed or weather resistant, but we also have to make it vandal resistant because we do have that problem out there because it's open to whoever walks by. We do have no trespassing signs, but we can't police it all the time. David was telling about the set that he did for Shrew when he put that 16-foot pirate flag on the top of it. That flag got stolen. And after that, it had to be a daily removal and setup. I've been involved with Shakespeare professionally since the steel set came in, which was 93, I believe it was. The set that we have now since 2016 is so much better. It's aluminum. The deck is modular. Once we get the deck together, then we can start putting the superstructure together, and we have 3 different possible configurations that we can put this thing in. And that is all modular. All the decks are the same. If they're 4x8s, they either have an extra notch in one side or they don't. We have like 20 4x4 decks. They're all uniform. So anywhere we need a 4x4 deck, we can put any one of them there. So it's modular. It's a whole lot easier. All the steel set pieces, every single piece had to go here or had to go here or had to go over there. And it was heavy because it was steel. I start recruiting crew late March, early April, somewhere around there. I try to get every year about 10 to 12 crew members. That gives me enough hands when I need all the hands. I try to get half new and half old. They have to know which end of the hammer is the useful end. They have to be able to lift things. Lifting things, we have to lift 8-foot flats, 8 feet in the air. Sometimes 4-foot flats, 16 feet in the air. We have to lift decks 8 feet in the air. They weigh probably 80 to 100 pounds. We generally start the build a week before Memorial Day. The first 2 days we get things delivered from the warehouse in what I call the Bible, the book of all the stuff that I do around this thing. I have a map of where everything needs to go. Certain things need to go to the top of the hill. All the platforms to the top of the hill. 2 of the light towers have to go to the top of the hill. I try to put the light tower pieces in a location where they are easily lifted into place. Once the 2 pieces are assembled together, then we start building downstage. The system is called Wunder Structure, WUNDER. It's an industry standard for temporary stages. So then we start assembling the deck. That generally takes about 3 days. Once we get that done, then we don't really have to deal with the hill anymore, because once we have the deck in place, we have a flat surface to build off of. We do have to worry about the hill, the slope of the hill. Upstage is about 7 feet in the air. Downstage comes within 8 inches of the ground. So once we start on the superstructure, we start at some place in the plan where there's a corner. We put up a flat with 2 poles and then a flat with another pole so that it supports itself. Regardless of how tall it is, we just start somewhere that's the case. And then we build a wall, and anything that connects to that wall one way or the other way, we put up. Once we get the first layer of everything, I have a plan at deck level, which includes all the posts and all the flats that connect directly to the deck. Then the next thing is to put in the decks at 8 feet. Then after we get all the decks in, then we put the flats starting at 8 feet. Then we put the last layer of flats up, which takes it up to 20 feet. The last thing that we put up, because it's a safety factor, we put up the stairs. We don't put up the stairs until we can put up the railings.
And remind me again how long that usually takes approximately.
The stage itself normally takes about 3 weeks.
after the stage is constructed and the peripherals are put up, then you move on to dressing the stage.
Once the stage is put together, we can then start decorating it. And peripherals can happen while that's happening. We can split the crew.
So then during the day-to-day of the actual run of the shows, what is a typical night for you?
Get there at like 5 o'clock, 5:30, depending on how long setup takes. I supervise all of the apprentices with the setup for the stage, setting out all the props, all the stuff that has to be taken down every night. Do a dimmer check with the stage manager, make sure all the lights are working. Then during the actual physical run of the show, I'm basically there to troubleshoot. If a mic goes out, we find out what's causing it. Crowd control sometimes, that's always fun. At the end of the show, reverse the process, take everything down.
How is it different for you as a technical director? What are the differences you find in an outdoor theater versus an indoor theater?
During the summer, I become an avid weather watcher. I have 3 weather apps on my phone, actually 4, one that came with it, but 3 that I put on. And they all have different little things on them. One of them has a lightning finder. If I see a bolt, if I see flashes, I look immediately on this weather app and see where they are, how far away they are, what direction they're moving. And I tell the stage manager,
what are other weather criteria for holding or canceling a show?
The stage manager and I make that decision together. Rain is a factor out there. If it starts raining even lightly, the stage can get very slick very fast. We've called shows for dew before. It gets that damp out there sometimes. We keep track of how much sudden movement there is coming up in the show potentially. If there's fight choreography, it's a whole different story. So we monitor even light rainfall very tightly. Lightning is much more closely monitored than rain is.
Conversely then, what are some advantages you find to performing outdoors that you don't find in an indoor theater?
It's nice to be outside. There are nights when the temperature gets really high. The day has been like in the 90s and it stays there, but it's just nice to be outside.
Well, Scott, thank you so much for taking time to sit down with us and share your thoughts today. We really appreciate it. This was a brand new perspective and an important perspective. You know, like you were saying, the caliber of performances that happen on Shakespeare Hill every summer couldn't happen without our technicians. So we are thankful that you continue to stick with us year after year, and we are grateful to you, your crew, you know, your fellow technicians that help us create the magic that is Shakespeare Hill every summer. So thank you so much for joining us today. Folks, thanks again for tuning in. As always, make sure to like and tag your friends, and we'll see you next week.